If elected to the board, it's quite likely that during your 4-year term, you will be making a decision as to where to locate at least one new elementary school and perhaps a new middle school in the eastern portion of the county along the Route 1 corridor. What process should the Board of Education use to make that decision, and what issues do you think the board should give attention to as it makes decisions around this need?
I think that we are facing a significant challenge with this particular issue, meaning that there isn't enough land, as people have currently been able to identify it, and we don't have enough money. And so we need to think a little bit differently, because it's inexcusable not to have the facilities and plants that we need. And there's not really a whole lot we can do unless someone knows how to grow money on a tree. So I propose that we look at innovative ways to do this. I think that we need to look at different ways that we fund our capital budget. I think we need to look at different ways that we build our schools. When I was meeting with the gentleman just in the hallway, who is the one who's proposed this recent development in Elkridge, I spoke with them about public-private partnerships, about putting together a plan where he could, as a developer, identify land which he felt he could do better than the school system, and put together a cul-de-sac-like situation like we have in Fulton, by giving certain density exchange options and those type of things that are available with the zoning to make it financially beneficial for him to do some of the things that the school system isn't able to do because of limited resources. So I bring innovation to the formula.
Oh, very good. That was really fast. Mr. Ballinger, would you take the next one?
Sure, problem. I just make that comment because I have to, first of all, say Leslie's actions and what she's been trying to do for the community Elkridge where she lives and funding the school system is commendable, and she's done a great job with that. And I think she should really be rewarded for that. I say that finding schools is done in 2 ways. Number one, having a true strategic plan that involves parents, people in the community who know where and when and how and what kind of school they would like to be involved in. I think we need to make sure that parents are involved in the process. Right now, I don't believe parents are involved in the process, and that's been talked about at recent board meetings. The second thing is that I think we need to make sure that we plan ahead and be smart about planning ahead, because we're going to have a lot of challenges, and working with development and working with developers to have locations in their process, I think is one of the best ways that we could meet that challenge. County Executive Ken Allman has talked about that, and I believe strongly in too. We need to have partnerships. We need to have partnerships in which communities are involved in the process.
Cindy, would you take the next one?
I think that when it's Frank and Sandy's turn to talk about this, they'll explain how it's a lot more complicated than people think, and you have to have the...
Please don't put words in my mouth.
Okay, sorry.
We have that rule.
This is one of the things that we covered at some length the other night at another meeting, that there are times when you have to wait until you have the overcrowding before you can get the money from the state. But what we need to do is stop going along with the program as it is and be leaders in the ideas of how we could go about doing this differently. We can get involved in public-private partnerships and get options on land and identify likely sites, even if we don't immediately buy them or immediately build on them. And there are developers in the county who would be thrilled to be able to help out with that if it gave them an opportunity to have an exchange for a density and all of the different things that go into developing in this county.
Okay. Frank, would you take the next, please?
Sure. Couple things. Some people talk about money, some people talk about planning. I've sat on the Spending Affordability Committee for the County Executive for 5 or 6 years. Trust me, there's lots of people out there who don't want to spend your money. And there's lots of people who want to make sure that money is only spent when it's absolutely necessary. So the trick is finding the exact time when we need the school soon enough, but not so that the schools that are going to be relieved are already overcrowded. It's not that simple. But others have talked about funding. We've looked at other ways to fund capital improvements. Suffice to say, the county can borrow money a lot cheaper than any developer can. Last year's Spending Affordability Committee was specifically charged with checking on how the school system operates its capital budget process to make sure that we were doing everything properly. We came back with a clean bill of health. Bottom line is, we need to get the schools when they're needed, where they're needed, appropriately. However, as far as I lost my train of thought here. I'll just leave it.
Ms. French?
I look at it from a different point of view. I look at what do we want as an ideal or close to ideal educational facility for our students. And we have the educational specifications. And so when a piece of land comes to us or a sweetheart deal is proposed as rumor that, oh, this developer's willing, I look at, well, what's in it for them? And what are we getting for our kids? And I can tell you that I was very adamant in opposition to a 3-acre. Can you imagine building a school on 3 acres? I won't do it. So there's a lot that we discuss in regards to health and safety, educational standards, and equity. Wherever we put a school, it has to be provided equitable resources, and the facilities have to be the same quality in the east as we get in the west. And that's hard. And so this piece of land that everybody thinks is so terrible, I visited, I walked on it, I saw it, and I think it's a good piece of property. And it belongs in our land bank. If we don't use it right away, we still need it in our land bank.
Thank you. Larry?
I agree that it's going to take some creativity and innovation. I think one of the things that we, as a school system, can do better is communicate to the general public what the process is and how and where we are in the process. I agree that creative public-private partnerships, giving a developer some incentives would be a great option to doing that as they're looking at ways to build land. I also know that the bonds that the county floats for capital construction cost are better than a developer can get. I think it's that combination of a developer having some incentives and the county working together is what it's going to take. And most importantly, the community needs to be involved in the process. And so that's how I see the need for developing new schools.
Thank you. Leslie?
Part of the frustration, a large part of the frustration by parents of children, school children in the Northeast, is that this whole process is shrouded in secrecy. And we have until this site was presented a month ago to the Board of Education, we had no idea what was being proposed. We still have no idea what other sites are being looked at for a second elementary school, a middle school, and we're going to need a high school too. So yes, we should be involved in this process, and yes, it should have been, somebody should have seen this coming. We are the epicenter of the densest residential development in the entire county, and to not have seen that and to have reserved some land before watching development after development after development go up on pieces of land perfectly suitable for a school is inexcusable. We've got to do better planning.
Thank you.
Yeah, we need to continue to be on the offense rather than the defense when it comes to looking at school facilities and planning ahead, is what I meant by being on the offense. I agree with a lot of what's been said already with equitable facilities. But making sure that when we do propose new sites that we have multiple options so we can involve the public participation and input so that there actually is a decision. Choosing one site and then having public input, there's not much to provide input on. As an assistant principal, my first school experience was at a brand new elementary school where the school was projected to open with 500 students. At the end of our first year, we were at 695 students. Growth on a school can really impact the school's operation. So it's important that we are proactive and we do have clear procedures in place so that the board and county executive are talking and sharing projections for future growth.